A new emergency for Los Angeles schools prompted by a methane leak. The San Diego connection to a disaster spewing tons of greenhouse gases into the air every hour. And the future of medicine nearly ready to beam up. The San Diego contest that wants to make the technology of Star Trek a reality today.
It literally was, we were already living paycheck to paycheck.
Operation Hope, the North County resource offering a lifeline for families in need, and why the main reason people become homeless has changed. KPBS Evening Edition starts right now. Good evening. Thanks for joining us. I'm Amita Sharma. Good economic news for San Diego, though it might only be seasonal. Unemployment dipped slightly last month from 5% to 4.8%. The region saw 11,000 new non-farm jobs in November, but half of them were in retail with the advent of the holiday shopping season. In the last year, San Diego County added about 38,000 jobs. Nearly 9,000 new positions emerged in the healthcare and social assistance fields. More than 7,000 others came from the professional, scientific, and technical services arenas. A rare show of bipartisan unity and productivity in Congress today. Republican and Democratic lawmakers joined together to overwhelmingly approve a 2016 budget. It contains a $1.14 trillion spending measure. It also has a $680 billion package that extends dozens of tax breaks, including reductions for low-income families and households with college students. The display of congressional harmony is seen as a victory for new House Speaker Paul Ryan. GOP lawmakers backed the budget even though it didn't include conservative priorities. President Obama called the budget a good win. The president used the occasion to tally up what he sees as the major accomplishments of his presidency, including a 5% unemployment rate and wage growth. He also touted the agreements reached last week in Paris to cut greenhouse gases.
Around the world, from reaching the deal to prevent Iran from developing a nuclear weapon, to reestablishing diplomatic relations with Cuba, to concluding a landmark trade agreement that will make sure that American workers and American businesses are operating on a level playing field, and that we, rather than China or other countries, are setting the rules for global trade. We have shown what is possible when America leads.
The president flies to San Bernardino this evening to meet with family members of the victims in the mass shooting there earlier this month. An extreme gas leak continues unchecked in Los Angeles County, forcing 1,900 students to change schools. The gas is pouring from a storage field owned by Southern California Gas, a unit of Sempra Energy in San Diego. Ingrid Lobe of KPBS News partner iNewsSource has more on the environmental impact.
I think what we're seeing is probably one of the largest single releases of methane in California state history. People I speak with that are experts in the field say that this is the biggest, most complex leak that they have ever seen.
This is Porter Ranch. Just on the other side of these hills, Southern California Gas Company has 116 gas injection wells, and one of those wells has gone out of control.
We never have had an escape this large, and I have to really emphasize this is an extremely rare event. The extent and the difficulty of resolving this leak are highly, highly unusual.
Methane is a gas people try hard to control because it's a potent climate-changing gas, but this release is 33 times bigger than the biggest emitter of methane in San Diego County, the Miramar landfill. Besides setting back the state's climate goals, the gases, hundreds of people say, have given them headaches, nosebleeds, and rashes. People like Susan Gorman Chang.
And I'm an avid jogger. I would jog 5 miles every other night. But I stopped because I was starting, the last time I jogged like that, and I was way up the street, and then the smell comes and there's no place to go. You still have to jog home. And I was really, really dizzy the next morning, so that scared me.
Approximately 2,800 people have moved away temporarily or are making arrangements to move. The Changs now live some 7 miles from their home. Southern California Gas is paying for all the housing and for home air filters for those who want them.
gosh, are we in one of those sci-fi movies where you run from your car to your home and you can never go outside and you can't exercise outside or walk your pets because the air's become toxic? How is that okay?
Several lawsuits have been filed. The gas company has tried to stem the flow of gas several ways, but failed. Now it's drilling a new well to intercept the damaged one, but it says the release may not be halted before March. Ingrid Lobet, KPBS News.
iNewsSource's Megan Wood helped produce this story. County Supervisor Ron Roberts was elected chairman of the San Diego Association of Governments today. The agency sets the agenda for transportation for the county. Sandag may ask voters to increase the sales tax to pay for new infrastructure. Roberts admits it's a difficult argument to make.
What you have to do is you have to show people that it's important to them, and it's important to the future of the region. If we're going to leave something where our kids are going to enjoy the quality of life that we've had, then you've got to do some things. You can't just wait for things to happen. You've got to make things happen.
Roberts will serve a one-year term as Sandag chairman. He's the first county supervisor to hold the position. Dubbed the most hated man in America by the press, the CEO of Isis Pharmaceuticals stepped down after the FBI arrested him yesterday. Martin Shkreli is facing securities fraud charges for an alleged Ponzi scheme he ran on the side as a hedge fund manager. Shkreli was in the news recently for spiking the cost of life-saving medicine, but it is not only his drug pricing that has put him on several hate lists. He dropped $2 million on the only copy of a Wu-Tang Clan album. In a YouTube video, he said he hasn't bothered to listen to it yet. The FBI informed music fans yesterday they did not seize the album. Ron Tiles, the chairman of the Turing Board of Directors, will serve as interim CEO. The terrorist group known as ISIS has been varnishing the brands of companies that happen to share their name. KPBS science reporter David Wagner says one local company has decided to rebrand.
Carlsbad drug company Isis Pharmaceuticals announced Friday that it will change its name. Their main phone line had already been updated by Friday morning. The message greeting callers now makes no mention of the company's unfortunate previous name.
Thank you for calling Isis Pharmaceuticals. Our regular office hours are 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, Monday through Friday.
The newly rebranded Ionis is also changing its stock ticker symbol on the NASDAQ. ISIS will now be traded as IONS. The word ISIS has been dominating the headlines, but for all the wrong reasons as far as this drug company is concerned. The word is also a hot topic of debate in the presidential race. For example, ISIS was said more than 100 times during this week's Republican presidential debate, often in close conjunction with words like defeat and destroy. In a news release, a company official said, "We decided to change our name because when people see or hear our name, we want them to think about the life-saving medicines we're developing." David Wagner, KPBS News.
On hold for now, the next big deal in medicine that could fit in the palm of your hand. The $10 million Tricorder XPrize competition was extended for a year. Qualcomm organizers told the San Diego Union Tribune that they want to give the finalists more time on their designs. The contest was inspired by the tricorders used by doctors and scientists in Star Trek. The device has to detect 13 different conditions as well as monitor 5 vital signs. Prototype testing is expected to begin next fall. A winner may be announced in 2017. Agencies working with the growing homeless population are struggling to adapt. In the North County, 2 emergency winter shelters want to stay open year-round. KPBS reporter Allison St. John says the main reason people become homeless has changed.
Rhonda Edwards and her daughter Lyric moved into Operation Hope, a shelter for homeless families in Vista, in November. It was a welcome relief.
Got it?
The two had spent several weeks couch surfing after Edwards got sick and lost her job as a licensed vocational nurse. She had no reserves to fall back on.
We were already living paycheck to paycheck between paying for rent and all the bills and then also paying for childcare. It literally ate up my paycheck. Every time I got paid, it literally was gone within a couple of hours.
This is just our room where we sleep right now.
Operation Hope has 45 beds, about half are occupied by children.
This is my mom's bed down here.
Within a week of opening on November 1st, there was a waiting list of 70 families. Director Kathleen Higgins says most are single parents, and though some had lost jobs, many of them are working.
In fact, we have quite a few women who are working right now, but still can't afford to put a roof over their head. And this, for us, is the first season where we are seeing the number of clients who are here only because they can't afford to keep a roof over their head outweigh the number of clients with other more traditional homelessness circumstances, like an addiction that they were dealing with.
The average rent in San Diego is just over $1,000 a month for a studio apartment, $1,600 for a two-bedroom unit. Vacancy rates have fallen, and North County has the lowest rental vacancy rate in the county at 2.4%. Over in Escondido at Interfaith Community Services Shelter for Adults, Haven House, Director Greg Angel has the same story to tell.
In our shelters last year, the number one reason that somebody was homeless was not losing a job, it wasn't fleeing violence, it wasn't a personal injury, it was simply not being able to pay their rent.
Eric Hiller comes to Interfaith's Pantry for help with food. He's homeless and camping out in the hills around Escondido.
You have to understand that if you, let's say, for example, you get a job for $12 an hour, that's not enough to go ahead and afford even a studio apartment. So the motivation really isn't there.
Hiller's been homeless on and off for years. He says he's noticed a whole new group of people showing up at the pantry.
When you're having breakfast, you see a lot of new faces, people you've never seen before.
You got your sandwich right here, sir.
There you go. You're welcome.
The manager of Haven House, Doug Ferris, says new contacts made at the emergency shelter can be the key to solving the problem of high rents.
Part of our task in the shelter is if we can find a couple of 2 or 3 people that might all be in the same, underemployment type thing, where we can put them together and go out and try to find a location for the 3 of them to live in.
Haven House is raising money from North County cities and private donors to go year-round, with 49 beds for men and women starting this month.
So we're going to have 49 men and women in this shelter. We have the support of the cities to do this year-round because Escondido, Vista, and other North County cities realize that if we have this shelter available 12 months out of the year, we're going to be getting people off the streets and into their own homes 12 months out of the year.
Winter shelters have become much more than just a roof over your head. They've become a kind of triage center where people who've lost their footing on the ladder of life can get the resources they need to become self-sufficient again.
And I am definitely learning what it is that I can and cannot do financially for us to live not just a comfortable life, but not fall like we did this time.
At Operation Hope in Vista, Rhonda Edwards is taking classes in budgeting, credit recovery, and healthy relationships. But the best thing that's happened is that she's had time to get close to her daughter in a way that was never possible before.
I've learned more about my daughter in the past month than I've known about her in the past few years because of me working constantly. I was working just to pay bills and to make sure she had a roof over her head. Now it's like, this is my daughter, and I recognize her and the things that are going on with her.
Like Haven House, Operation Hope is raising money to stay open year-round.
The reality is, if they're not in a shelter, where are they? They're sleeping on the street, they're sleeping in their car, maybe they're couch surfing. It doesn't matter whether it's warm outside or not. That's not any way to live, especially with children. So the first step in trying to bridge that problem is going year-round. That will make a huge difference.
There are a lot of us who are struggling. And it's not just single mothers or single fathers, it's whole families, it's men and women who don't have children. We're all struggling and we're all trying to find our way, and it's just a lot of us and not enough resources. And a place like Operation Hope, it does exactly what its name says. It gives us hope that we can actually make it through and get to the other side and still continue to keep on pushing through and make it through the tough times.
Allison St. John reporting. KPBS videographer Nick McVicker helped produce that story. It may be the Chargers' last hurrah as San Diego's beloved football team. Come Sunday, the Chargers will face the Miami Dolphins at Qualcomm Stadium. With a record of 3-10 this year, it's probably the last game of the season, and it may be the last game at the Q after 55 seasons. Team executives are thinking about moving to a new stadium in Carson. The Oakland Raiders may follow them and share the venue. Both NFL teams are already teaming up, funding a $35,000 toy giveaway today in Carson. All clear on the radar for now. We're expecting clear skies for tailgating parties at the Chargers' last home game of this year. Steph Davis breaks down the timeline for possible showers in San Diego in tonight's KPBS weather report.
Happy Friday, and it's been a beautiful one at that, enjoying plenty of bright sunshine and above average temperatures. Taking a look at our satellite and radar now, just off to the north across the northern parts of the state, we are dealing with a system that's bringing clouds and showers. So if you're traveling to Northern California, definitely want to anticipate travel delays. But taking a closer look around home, satellite and radar remaining very quiet. We're looking at mainly clear skies from Borrego Springs all the way towards San Diego. And that's what we will enjoy as we wrap up our Friday. Clear skies all across the region, largely dry conditions. So if you're heading out to Petco Park, of course, we have the 12 nights of December going on tonight. Should be good to go weather-wise. No rain expected with mainly clear skies. Temperatures in San Diego will fall to an overnight low of 51, 38 tonight in Oceanside. A little bit cooler in Mount Laguna with your overnight low falling back into the mid-20s. Now, as we look ahead to our Saturday, we do have a trough, a dip in the jet stream, and that's going to allow for some instability, clouds and showers pressing as far south as Southern California. San Diego is going to see some of those clouds and showers arrive late Saturday afternoon, and they will extend into your Saturday night. Temperature-wise, though, pretty seasonable for this time of year. We'll put our future temperatures into motion. Saturday night lows, San Diego falling back to 54, 51 your overnight low in Oceanside. Temperatures in Alpine falling back into the mid-40s as we wrap up our Saturday. Waking up to kick off the weekend, 9 a.m. Saturday morning, 57 in Borrego Springs, 56 in Mount Laguna. Temperatures pushing 60 degrees in San Diego. Of course, temperatures continuing to climb once we get that sun high in the sky. Climbing to a daytime high of 66 in San Diego for your Saturday. 61 is your daytime high in Oceanside. Here's a look at your 5-day outlook for the coast. Saturday, we're dealing with those clouds and showers around, mainly during the second half of your day, extending into Saturday night. High temperature 64. Sunday, of course, we have a big game going on as the San Diego Chargers are at home against the Miami Dolphins. Weather looking beautiful, partly sunny and dry with our daytime high at 62. Beautiful weather extending Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. Your 5-day outlook inland looking pretty similar. A couple of clouds and showers in the afternoon on Saturday. As we wrap up the weekend, partial sunshine Sunday with widespread temperatures Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday climbing into the upper 60s. Those showers will extend into the mountains for your Saturday afternoon. Temperatures chilly on Sunday with your high at 46 degrees. Temperatures in the deserts will continue to climb. We'll reach a daytime high Wednesday of 71. Steph Davis, KPBS News.
The City Heights neighborhood of San Diego has long been considered a food desert with its sparse supermarkets. KPBS reporter Megan Burks shows us the oasis of corner markets that are a big hit with residents.
Teenagers working with UC San Diego's Healthy Retail program brainstormed with Mid-City store owner Lateef Georges. They're planning a market makeover Saturday aimed at highlighting the fresh meat and produce he started selling.
Make this part more like visual, like more out there, you know.
Georges added the amenities 2 weeks ago after members of the Oak Park Neighborhood Council expressed their desire for more food options close to home. They helped Georges paint the front of his store, and a neighbor with graphic design experience designed his new deli menu and is working on signs for his windows.
The people, they're proud about this store because we try to change the neighborhood, how they act.
USC researcher LaVonna Blair-Lewis says this kind of collaboration goes a long way in improving diets in the community. She spent the past 2 years studying access to healthy food in City Heights.
I probably would have called it a food desert before we did the work here because traditionally it's a half a mile or a mile kind of walking distance to a major kind of market. But what we found out was the local markets were much more robust, providing many more options to local residents than what we were seeing in Los Angeles.
Lewis found 64% of those surveyed had no trouble finding or making healthy meals in the neighborhood. That's the case for high school lacrosse player Ilhan Nuno, though she says she does indulge in an occasional bag of chips. She says this weekend's store makeover will make it easier to pass on the salty snacks.
I know as an athlete you have to keep your body in a good condition, and by eating fruits and vegetables it's going to help me play better and make a lot of goals and scores, and I am going to eat fruits and vegetables more often than I already do.
17-year-old Billy Luong lives just down the street from Louis.
I just love how one small store like this can bring a whole neighborhood together.
Luong and his peers plan to be at Louis 10 to noon Saturday. Healthy Retail Program Manager El Mari says such community involvement is key to helping store owners find a new way of doing things.
It's hard for them to say, you know, I've never sold this stuff before, and then to make the investment to do that without knowing kind of what's that risk that I'm exploring, it is scary for them. So we try to do our best to pool our resources coming from UCSD, coming from other places, really leveraging what the community has to offer to benefit the store and ultimately to benefit the community.
Georges says he believes his $70,000 to $100,000 investment will eventually pay off. Business isn't booming, but he's already had to restock the deli 4 times in 2 weeks.
This takes time. Everything, all effort we did, I think is coming back later because we got all support from neighborhood.
Megan Burks, KPBS News.
Pope Francis has given the final stamp of approval for Mother Teresa's bid for sainthood. Associated Press reporter Kelly Dashel has more on the critical event that led her on the path to a higher calling.
Mother Teresa, who devoted her life to helping the poor and won a Nobel Peace Prize for her work, will be made a saint in the Catholic Church. The Vatican announced Friday that Pope Francis has signed off on the miracle needed for sainthood, one of the Church's highest honors. Francis approved the decree Thursday on his 79th birthday. The miracle responsible for the distinction involved the inexplicable cure of a Brazilian man suffering from multiple brain tumors in 2008. Though Mother Teresa's canonization was long expected, the timing has never been clear. Outside the Vatican Friday, Catholics celebrated the news.
It's a very wonderful thing, especially she is always a good example to the world.
We are very happy. It is right because she is a great saint for the Church.
Mother Teresa died on September 5, 1997 at the age of 87. At the time, her Missionaries of Charity order had nearly 4,000 nuns and ran roughly 600 orphanages, soup kitchens, homeless shelters, and clinics around the world. No date has been set for the canonization, but Italian media have speculated the ceremony will take place in the first week of September, to coincide with the anniversary of her death. Kelly Dashel, Associated Press.
A judge rules in favor of releasing a video of a deadly officer-involved shooting. And the watchdog for San Diego's police department turns out to be toothless. I'm Mark Sauer. Join us tonight at 8:30 for the KPBS Roundtable.
The holiday season is a time for gift giving, but some need help. KPBS reporter Matt Bowler shows us the groups who are helping others living paycheck to paycheck.
Parents dream of seeing the joy in their child's eyes on Christmas morning. But many working San Diego families have hard choices to make: buy food, pay rent, or buy presents for their children. Richard Barrera from the San Diego Labor Council says for many families, presents are out of the question.
Hundreds of thousands of families in our community that don't earn anywhere near enough, to pay the basic cost of living in San Diego.
California's Employment Development Department says San Diego County has 1.5 million employable people in it, and only 76,000 are unemployed. But Barrera says that number doesn't paint a complete picture.
Let's say a typical family of 4, to be able to, pay housing costs, pay food, transportation, childcare, just the basics, that's probably upwards of $60,000 or so a year.
This year, the United Way passed out toys and food to 600 working families, up 20% from last year. The United Way's Carol Kim says the economy is improving, but many paychecks haven't.
You know, while some incomes are increasing at the top end of the scale, the middle class and the lower class working families, they're really not seeing that same growth.
Angel Roy from the Salvation Army says even they are feeling the pinch.
Yes, donations came in a little slower this year.
They're short thousands of toys.
So 10,000 short across the entire county is going to affect a lot of families this year.
But Roy says this is actually an opportunity.
I think it's a chance for people in those kind of situations to see that they're surrounded by a community that cares.
Salvation Army or United Way, the key is to be thankful the holidays are about things money can't buy. Matt Buller, KPBS News.
The California Highway Patrol flipped the tassels of 5 graduating K-9 cadets. The dogs underwent 11 months of intense training and scrutiny. Today they walked the stage with their handlers at the state capitol. Their training focused on criminal apprehension and drug detection. There are 40 K-9 teams stationed throughout the state. The Grammy-winning Soweto Gospel Choir will be in San Diego this weekend. They blend African gospel, reggae, spirituals, and American pop music. The choir performs their twist on holiday classics this Sunday at the Jacobs Center. You can find more on tonight's stories at our website, kpbs.org/evening edition. Thank you for joining us. Have a good evening.